Here's lesson 49, part 3, and the third of our true or false series. So the question today, is it true or is it false that the posture for the golf swing remains the same no matter what? Many of you watching this DVD or video will be thinking that the posture, the angle of the body is a constant. Well, that's a falsehood. The truth is that the angle of the spine changes according to your physique, your height and body proportions, but particularly to the club that you're using. You see, you know that in a full set of clubs you have 13 clubs plus a putter, and all the clubs are different lengths. You know that the driver's the longest and the sand iron is the shortest. So when we actually look at the golf club, I used to think, in the early years of being an apprentice pro, I used to think the clubs were different length, but they all came to the same height. That's what I was taught, and that's what I believed. So therefore, if they all came to the same height, wouldn't my posture be pretty constant? Well, the answer is no. A driver lives at the highest point, my 6-iron lives a little bit lower, and my wedge lower still. So this means that the angle of the body changes. If I turn sideways to you and I stand vertically, let's just use my left arm and index finger as a plumb bob. This is where my arm hangs. I'm going to lean forward for driver. I'm going to lean forward again for 6-iron, and even more for wedge. So you can see that the body angle that starts with driver, 6-iron, wedge changes. So if the angle of my spine is a variable, you can appreciate that my swing plane is there with the driver, steeper with the 6-iron and steeper with the wedge. The body angle changes the swing plane. When David Ledbetter first started coaching Nick Faldo, he came up with the phrase athletic or dynamic posture. And it led many of us to believe that the body was back here, somewhat on the heels. And I'm a great fan of Nick Faldo, but if I was being fussy about an almost perfect swing in his case, Faldo always was a little bit to his heels for my liking. A tall man like Nick, that angle should be very strongly declared. But if you actually look, even when Faldo was in his prime, might just favour the heels ever so slightly. So Luther, how do I deal with that? If the posture changes with every club, how do I know what to do? Well, the beauty is the DNA of your golf swing is in the structure of the club. So I turn towards the target for you, present the club, and then I just lean forward. And when my left hand hits the handle of the club, that must be the correct angle for my 6-iron. Okay? If this were a wedge, I'll shorten it, I would go even further. If the club were longer, like a driver, I would stand up more. So there's a lot of different things going on, but as long as you trust the club maker, if you put the club on its bottom and you tip from your hip to build your grip, you will discern your body angle. I think you could appreciate that if I had a driver and wedge posture, it would be a bit strange swinging up here. Surely a driver thrives on a flatter swing plane. For those of you that get the occasional shank off a bare lie or side hill lie, often the case is that people, for a short shot, they sit down, particularly in bunkers, and they go this way, and the club works around them. That's the worst place for a wedge to go. Wedges thrive on an upright swing plane. So it's key to get your body set correctly from driver through to wedge. And if you don't know what that angle is, just listen to the club maker. The club maker, the structure of the club will tell you. And when you put the club behind the ball, you know the height of your hands, you know your distance from the ball, but if you tip from the hip to build your grip, you discern your posture. So hopefully we've killed one falsehood. The posture is not the same for every club. It varies with the club and is unique, of course, to your own physique.